Let me just start off by saying that scene where Bucky takes his bionic arm out of the dishwasher is absolutely epic. I usually keep, like, I don't know, dishes, not a bionic like multi-million dollar arm, but to each their own. But I can't help it to be absolutely excited for the new Thunderbolts movie, and I feel like every MCU fan should be at least feeling somewhat similar, unless you're like a robotic organism that doesn't understand emotions or feelings. Then I'll give you a pass. But this is exciting. I mean, and I've kind of been in the minority recently, preaching that, hey, the MCU is on its way back. We just got a really good look at the newest Captain America film, and I've absolutely been in love with it. I think that there's something there special. I think there's something for the future to build on. The character development is going to be phenomenal. They have a phenomenal cast as well. And I think this follows suit into the Thunderbolts trailer, which looks absolutely brilliant. And I thought I would talk a little bit about it and just kind of break down some of the more important things that people are missing. I'm not going to go and dissect the entire trailer because it feels like everybody and their grandmother has done that. So I'll just kind of give you guys some little offshoot news clippings, things that I don't feel people are touching on enough. One of the bigger announcements, or one of the bigger points of emphasis that I think people are maybe missing off on, is the fact that Harrison Ford will be reprising his role as Thunderbolt Ross, aka Red Hulk. I'm not sure exactly how that really impacts the Captain America film. He could be portraying his character as maybe like a flashback. I mean, we know the MCU loves to do stuff like that, but there's a part of me that feels like the Harrison Ford role extends to the future. Like, there's something that we could potentially see there within the next few MCU films. So that's probably one of the most exciting developments. I personally did not expect that. I was scrolling through the credits and the cast as a whole, and that was one of the bigger roles that kind of jumped out at me. Harrison Ford will be coming back for the Thunderbolts film. We don't know to what extent, we don't know what his responsibility in the film is going to be, but we know for a fact that he will be in the film. And like I said, I don't know if this negatively impacts the Captain America film, because we're all expecting like this big giant defining duel between Captain America and Thunderbolt Ross, and this kind of may be a little bit of a spoiler, I suppose. If we legitimately see his character in the film, it means he survived the Captain America film. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword here, but regardless, I love Harrison Ford, and to see him in another MCU project, I'll definitely take it. And then I kept scrolling through the different cast that's going to be, or at least announced to be, in the Thunderbolts film, and Baron Zemo's character was in there. I'm not 100% sure if that was a mistake, or again, if it's going to be a flashback, or he's going to be mentioned in some way, but he is in the credits, which is another kind of interesting talking point there. I'm very interested to see how exactly they spin it to make this character relevant to the Thunderbolts. I'll be brutally honest with you guys. I've often thought that the whole Baron Zemo character kind of overstayed his welcome in the MCU, and not everybody loved that particular character and the way that he was brought into the whole cinematic universe. But my excitement is absolutely off the charts. I love and probably my favorite story arc here has to be the whole John Walker road to redemption. I felt like this particular character kind of got thrown by the wayside. He is, quite honestly, my second favorite Captain America. Like, I like him more than Mackie in the role. I just felt like it fit him a little bit better. I love this kind of like emotional portrayal of Captain America. It was very torn. His decisions and his overall take on what Captain America should be wasn't as decisive, and he was kind of stuck in the middle from time to time. And honestly, I feel like most of us would be John Walker. Like, not everybody is morally righteous and just believes in that everything should come boiled down to one particular choice. I felt like John Walker was kind of torn in between two worlds, where he was still trying to appease those people that counted on him, but also having a firm hand against villains. And what's funny is they completely, turned on John Walker. They wanted to just hang him. But let's be brutally honest, Steve Rogers was out there murdering dudes way before John Walker. Like, he shot people, threw people off of boats. There is no way that a normie human being, like a middle-aged 40-year-old dude that's balding, or just a random pedestrian, is going to be able to withstand a punch from Captain America. Even highly trained assassins they're going to die. I mean, Captain America fought and went toe to toe with Thanos. So Steve Rogers could literally fart and obliterate like half of an army. That's just the way that it is. He's a superhuman. But all jokes aside, I am really looking forward to seeing John Walker up on the big screen and finally get an opportunity to have like a bigger role in the MCU, which I personally feel like he deserves, especially for the way that the character was written. I was really digging it. It was not as, black and white of a storyline. It was a little bit gray. It was kind of like down and gritty, and that's kind of what I really enjoyed. Or I should say, one of the few aspects that I genuinely enjoyed from the Disney Plus series. The whole Yelena storyline is also very fascinating. Let's not forget, she's kind of still technically mourning the loss of her older sister, and potentially we could see her kind of step into the Black Widow role. And I absolutely love that line at the beginning of the trailer where she says that she feels like she's been just drifting for the last few years. That's kind of how MCU fans feel after Endgame. Like, we just don't know what to do with ourselves. We're kind of just drifting. Not really much to watch, not much to pay attention to. You could literally have missed probably every single project aside from maybe Black Widow and maybe a few other films. You could just ignore everything and it really wouldn't matter. And that's how I think the MCU fans are as a whole. We're just trying to figure out what's next. And I feel I've already kind of beaten this to death, but I feel Captain America is that stepping stone. And then I think the Thunderbolts will definitely launch us into 100% into the new era of the MCU. I will say I also appreciate the fact that this is not a Guardians of the Galaxy copy and paste situation. I do feel like this team up is going to have their own defining characteristics. This team is going to be made up of different characters, intriguing, and as I said, they all have kind of like a redemption arc attached to them, and I think that's what genuinely makes them feel special. Guardians of the Galaxy, the Avengers, all of those were great teams, but the Thunderbolts, I think, will stand on their own and will have their own spotlight. Bucky, aka Winter Soldier, aka the guy that should have gotten the shield after Steve Rogers retired, is also going to be featured in this particular film, and it's, again, very exciting to actually see him portray his role again. He's one of those few characters from the original MCU cast that still somehow manages to steal the spotlight every time that he's on screen. I will say, I was team Iron Man, so I felt like Bucky should have gotten his ass kicked at least a little bit more than he did in Civil War, but that's neither here nor there. We also get our first glimpse at the character Sentry from Marvel Comics, and I have to say, this is a little bit intriguing, but honestly a little bit off-putting just because he is considered to be like one of the strongest Marvel comic book characters ever. I mean, he's been known to go toe-to-toe with some of the strongest villains. And so this is kind of an interesting take, and there's a little bit of a connection to Captain America. I'm not really going to get too deep into it because this could potentially like spoil the movie. I think that there's a really big connection, and potentially Sentry could have been around maybe Steve Rogers when he was getting the super soldier serum. I just don't know exactly, but I do remember the comic books. He was very connected to that because he also received the same serum that Captain America received. So that kind of could potentially tie into some bigger moments in the MCU. Like maybe Sentry could be one of the most powerful heroes in the MCU and potentially become a leader of maybe even the Avengers. We don't know. I still feel like maybe this could be a toned down version of Sentry because the one from the comic books could like alter reality and just get crazy. But like I said, it's cool to see even more deep cuts from the Thunderbolts trailer. So finally get to see Elaine in the MCU. No Seinfeld fans anywhere. Anyways, I grew up watching Seinfeld. It's probably one of my favorite comedy shows ever. I'm a huge Jerry Seinfeld fan, but it's just really nice to see Julia Dreyfus back on the big screen. She appears to be the mastermind behind this entire operation revolving around the Thunderbolts as Valentina. So honestly, guys, I'm just really hyped for this movie. I have been for the Captain America film. I have been for this Thunderbolts project. And I think, as I said, they're going to cement the foundational pieces for the future of the MCU, which is something that we've been waiting for quite some time, and we are finally getting it. So strap yourselves in, buy your tickets as soon as you can get them, because as I said, the MCU is back. Maybe not quite to the level of like Infinity War and Endgame, but I think we're working ourselves to that point, especially with some phenomenal actors at the helm. So as always, this is just my personal opinion, my personal take. Don't take this harshly. It's just what I personally think in my tiny little reptilian brain. But as always, let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know what you personally feel about the entire Thunderbolts project. Are you excited? Are you not? Very curious to see what you guys have to say. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.